Welcome to the Retirement Wealth Podcast, where we help you navigate the journey of retirement planning. Today, we're diving into a topic that can feel a bit daunting, but is super important: how to avoid probate for your assets.
That's right, Emily. Probate can be a real headache for families, and nobody wants their loved ones to go through that. So we're going to break it down today, talk about what probate really is, and how you can keep your assets out of that process.
Exactly. We'll discuss some practical strategies, like setting up trusts, beneficiary designations, and even some tips on proper asset titling. It's all about making sure your wishes are honored without unnecessary delays or costs.
And we'll also touch on the emotional side of these decisions. Planning for the future isn't just about the numbers, it's about peace of mind for you and your family.
Absolutely. Plus, we have some real-life examples to share that illustrate these points. So whether you're just starting to think about your estate plan or you're already knee-deep in it, there's something here for you.
Yes, and it's never too early or too late to start thinking about how to protect your legacy.
Okay, let's get into it. First off, David, can you explain what probate is and why it's something we want to avoid?
So, Emily, when we think about why avoiding probate is so crucial right now, it really comes down to a few key factors, right? I mean, we're living in a time of significant economic shifts.
Absolutely, David. I mean, with inflation rates being what they are, people are feeling the pinch. And it's becoming more important than ever to protect those hard-earned assets.
Exactly. I've spoken with clients who are worried about their savings being eroded by inflation. They're concerned that their retirement funds won't stretch as far as they once thought.
Right. And that's where avoiding probate comes into play. The longer assets are tied up in probate, the more they're potentially subject to market volatility or inflation.
Yes, and let's not forget about the emotional side of it. I had a couple, let's call them Tom and Linda. They had a beautiful home and a small investment portfolio. After Tom passed away, Linda found herself not only grieving, but also faced with a lengthy probate process.
That sounds tough.
It was, and it really added to her stress. She had to deal with the emotional weight of losing her partner, and then on top of that, the financial uncertainty. The assets were tied up, and it delayed her ability to access funds she needed for living expenses.
Wow, that's a lot to handle.
And that's not an uncommon story. Many people don't realize that probate can take months, sometimes even years, depending on the complexity of the estate. All that time, the bills keep coming in, the healthcare costs,
Yes, healthcare costs are another huge factor nowadays. I mean, with the rising costs of long-term care and medical expenses, retirees need to have quick access to their funds.
Exactly. One of my clients, let's call her Susan, had a health scare, and her family was scrambling to cover medical bills. Because her estate was going through probate, they faced delays in accessing her resources.
That's so frustrating.
It really is. And, there's also the matter of tax efficiency. With changes in tax laws coming into play, many retirees are concerned about how their estates will be taxed after they pass.
Right, and no one wants to leave their loved ones with a huge tax burden.
Exactly. When assets go through probate, they can be exposed to higher taxes and fees, which can significantly reduce the amount that actually gets passed on to heirs.
That's a big deal. It's like, what's the point of saving if it all just gets eaten up by taxes and fees?
Exactly. And think about the legacy you want to leave behind. You want to ensure your family is taken care of, not just financially, but emotionally too. If your loved ones are burdened with a lengthy probate process, it can really overshadow the inheritance you intended for them.
Yes. And speaking of emotional burdens, I think it's important to consider how financial security, or lack thereof, can affect a retiree's peace of mind.
Absolutely. I mean, retirees today are feeling the pressure, especially with current market volatility. People are worried about their investments tanking right when they need them most.
And we've seen a lot of that recently, haven't we? Market fluctuations can be really stressful for someone on a fixed income.
Definitely. So when we talk about avoiding probate, we're not just talking about financial implications. It's about ensuring that your family can grieve without the added stress of financial chaos.
That makes so much sense. And it's not just about the here and now, it's about planning for the future too.
Exactly. With Social Security changes on the horizon and potential adjustments to benefits, retirees need to have a solid plan in place to ensure they're not caught off guard.
Right. And having a plan that avoids probate can help alleviate some of that uncertainty.
Yes, it's all interconnected. And then you have to think about how all of this plays into your overall retirement strategy, right?
For sure. And the current economic trends are pushing people to be more proactive. A lot of folks are looking for ways to maximize their retirement savings while minimizing risk.
That's the key. I think the bottom line is that avoiding probate isn't just a legal tactic, it's a crucial part of financial security in retirement.
Exactly. It's a matter of protecting your assets, your loved ones, and your peace of mind.
And, I think we're at a point where more people are starting to understand that. They're realizing that planning isn't just about numbers. It's about their lives, their families, and their legacies.
Well said. And with the right strategies in place, people can navigate this landscape more effectively.
Absolutely. So let's dive into some of those core strategies. So Emily, when we talk about avoiding probate, one of the core strategies is really about how you title your assets, right?
Absolutely. It's all about making sure that your assets are structured in a way that they don't end up going through that lengthy probate process.
Right. For instance, if you have a bank account, you might want to consider adding a payable on death designation. That way, when you pass, the funds go directly to the beneficiary you've named, bypassing probate completely.
Yeah, I love that example. It's simple but so effective. And what about real estate? That can be a bit trickier.
True. One option is to hold real estate in a revocable living trust. This way, the property can be transferred to your beneficiaries without going through probate. It keeps things smooth and private.
And, of course, it's also about what happens with your investments like stocks and bonds.
Exactly. If you have a brokerage account, you can set it up to transfer to a beneficiary upon your death, which is often called a transfer on death account.
It's amazing how many people don't realize these options exist. And, these strategies can save not just time, but also money in legal fees.
For sure. And let's not forget about retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs. They usually have designated beneficiaries, which means they can pass directly to the person you choose, avoiding probate as well.
Right. And the rules can vary a bit between different types of accounts, so it's essential to keep your beneficiary designations up to date, especially after major life changes like marriage or divorce.
Yeah, that's a key point. You don't want an estranged family member inheriting your hard-earned savings.
Exactly. It's also worth mentioning Roth IRAs, which can be a powerful tool since they grow tax-free and can be passed on to heirs without the burden of income taxes.
Definitely. And for those who are looking to optimize their Social Security benefits, understanding how your asset strategies play into your overall retirement plan can make a big difference.
Oh, absolutely. Many people don't realize that the timing of when you take Social Security can impact your overall wealth. If you delay benefits, you can often increase your monthly payout significantly.
Right. The longer you wait, the more you get, up to age 70. And that can provide a solid foundation for your retirement income, allowing you to be more strategic with your withdrawals from other accounts.
Speaking of withdrawals, the 4% rule is something many people rely on when planning for retirement income.
Yes, that rule suggests that you can withdraw 4% of your retirement savings each year without running out of money for at least 30 years.
And it's a good starting point, but it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, right?
Exactly. Market conditions, your spending needs, and even tax implications all play a role in determining the best withdrawal strategy for you.
I've also heard about the bucket strategy. Can you explain that a bit?
Sure. The bucket strategy involves dividing your assets into different buckets based on when you'll need to access the money. For example, you might have a short-term bucket for immediate expenses, a medium-term bucket for expenses in the next 5 to 10 years, and a long-term bucket for growth, invested in stocks.
That sounds like a smart way to balance risk and return over time.
It is. And it helps to ensure that you're not forced to sell investments in a down market just to meet your cash flow needs.
That makes total sense. And asset allocation plays a critical role in this, doesn't it?
Absolutely. A common rule of thumb is the 70/30ths portfolio, where you hold 70% in stocks for growth, and 30% in bonds for stability. But again, it depends on your risk tolerance and time horizon.
Right. And as you get closer to retirement, you might want to shift that allocation to be more conservative.
Exactly. A lot of people also overlook the importance of tax-efficient investing.
Yes. It's not just about how much you earn on your investments, but also how much you keep after taxes.
Exactly. Utilizing tax-advantaged accounts like IRAs and 401ks can help defer taxes, allowing your money to grow more efficiently over time.
And don't forget about Roth accounts. They can be a game changer since qualified withdrawals are tax-free.
Right. It's all about diversifying your tax exposure. You don't want all your money in tax-deferred accounts because that can lead to a hefty tax bill down the line.
So having a mix of taxable, tax-deferred, and tax-free accounts can provide you with more flexibility in retirement.
Definitely. And speaking of diversification, it's crucial to spread your investments across different asset classes to mitigate risk.
Absolutely. A well-diversified portfolio can weather market fluctuations better than one that's heavily concentrated in a single asset class.
And remember, regular rebalancing is key to maintaining that desired level of risk.
Yes. So many retirees overlook that. Keeping your portfolio aligned with your goals is essential.
And it's easy to forget about it when the market is doing well. But, there's always a risk of getting too comfortable.
Totally. And as we transition to common pitfalls, it's essential to recognize that failing to have a plan for your assets can lead to unintended consequences.
That's a big one. If you don't take the time to set things up properly, your loved ones could face unnecessary stress and expenses during a challenging time.
Yeah, and that's the last thing you want to leave them with.
Exactly. Let's dive into some of those pitfalls next. So, Emily, as we talk about avoiding probate for your assets, it's really important to highlight some common pitfalls that can trip people up in their retirement planning.
Absolutely, David. I think one of the biggest mistakes I see is underestimating the sequence of returns risk.
Right. It's like you could have a great long-term average return, but if the market takes a dip in the early years of your retirement, that can really hurt your portfolio.
Exactly. I once worked with a couple, let's call them Tom and Lisa. They retired in 2007, right before the financial crisis hit.
Oh, I remember that year.
Yeah, they had planned for 30 years of retirement income, but with those early losses, they had to adjust their withdrawal strategy drastically.
And that's a tough situation. It can lead to having to withdraw more when the market is down, which can deplete your savings faster than you'd like.
Right, it's a vicious cycle. They ended up having to go back to work part-time, which was not something they had envisioned for their retirement.
It really underscores the importance of having a diversified portfolio and a solid withdrawal strategy.
Yes! And then, of course, there's the issue of taxes. Many retirees overlook how taxes can affect their withdrawals, especially if they're taking money from traditional IRAs or 401ks.
Exactly. I had a client, let's call him Jim, who thought he could just withdraw from his IRA without considering the tax implications.
That can be a real eye-opener.
Right? He ended up in a higher tax bracket than he anticipated, which cut into his retirement income significantly.
That's such a common mistake. Planning for taxes is crucial, especially as tax laws can change over time.
Yes, and ignoring tax-efficient withdrawal strategies can mean the difference between a comfortable retirement and financial stress.
And then there's healthcare.
Oh, healthcare costs can be a huge burden, especially as we age. Many people underestimate how much they'll need for medical expenses in retirement.
Exactly. I remember a client, let's call her Mary, who thought she'd be fine with her Medicare coverage. But then she had an unexpected health issue.
And those costs can add up quickly.
Yeah, she faced huge out-of-pocket expenses that weren't covered by Medicare. It really forced her to reevaluate her budget.
That's a tough lesson to learn. Having a healthcare plan, including long-term care insurance, is really vital.
Definitely. And it's also about understanding longevity. People are living longer these days, which means you need a strategy that accounts for a longer retirement.
Absolutely. I had a couple, let's say they were the Parkers.
Funny name.
I know, right? They thought they could retire comfortably at 65, but they didn't plan for the possibility of living into their 90s.
That's a big gap.
It is. They had to adjust their lifestyle significantly, which was hard for them.
It's so important to plan for longevity and to have that cushion for unexpected life events.
And then there's asset allocation.
Oh yes, a lot of folks think they can just coast along with the same allocation they had during their working years.
That can backfire, especially if you're too heavily invested in stocks when you should be more conservative.
I had a client, let's say his name was Mark.
Of course.
He was still heavily invested in equities in his 60s. When the market took a downturn, he panicked and sold at a loss.
That's a classic mistake. Selling low is never a good strategy.
Exactly. He ended up missing the rebound because he didn't have a diversified approach.
It's so crucial to periodically review and adjust your asset allocation based on your age and risk tolerance.
And then we can't forget about Social Security. Many people claim benefits too early, which can have a lasting impact on their retirement income.
Yes, that's a big one. I had a client who, let's call her Susan, claimed her Social Security at 62, thinking she'd get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, but she lost a significant amount in monthly benefits by not waiting.
Right. Waiting until full retirement age or beyond can increase her benefits substantially.
And it's all about maximizing what you can get over time.
Exactly. So these are all red flags to watch for. If you're not considering these aspects, it's time to take a closer look at your retirement plan.
Yeah, and it's never too late to make adjustments. Even small changes can have a big impact down the line.
For sure. I always say it's better to act now than to wait until you're in a difficult situation.
Absolutely. So, what are some next steps for someone who might be recognizing these issues in their own planning?
Well, first, I'd recommend reviewing your current financial situation.
Yes. Take a close look at your investments, your withdrawal strategy, and your healthcare plan.
And consider talking to a financial advisor. They can help you develop a comprehensive retirement strategy that addresses these common pitfalls.
Right. And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Exactly. It's your retirement, so you should be fully informed and comfortable with your plan.
And remember, the earlier you start to address these issues, the better prepared you'll be for a comfortable retirement.
Definitely.
So let's keep this conversation going as we look at more strategies to help our listeners navigate their retirement plans.
All right. So now that we've covered the importance of avoiding probate, let's dive into some immediate steps that our listeners can take right now to start protecting their assets.
Absolutely. It's all about making those actionable changes, isn't it? So where should they begin?
Well, first off, I'd recommend checking if you have a will or trust in place. If you don't, that's a good starting point. Even a basic will can set the groundwork. There are online services that can help with that, like LegalZoom or Rocket Lawyer.
Right, and those can be super user-friendly. But if someone's looking for something a bit more comprehensive, working with an estate planning attorney can really be beneficial, especially to navigate more complex situations.
Exactly. And once you have that foundational document, consider how your assets are titled. For example, joint ownership can help avoid probate, but you need to be cautious about what that means for your estate as a whole.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize that just changing the title of an asset can make a huge difference.
Definitely. And next, let's talk about beneficiary designations. It's so important to review those regularly, especially after major life events like marriage, divorce, or the birth of a child. Make sure your beneficiaries are up to date on your retirement accounts, life insurance, and other assets, right?
Yes, it's like a little checklist we can all follow. And speaking of checklists, there are some great online tools out there, like Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab. They offer retirement calculators that can give you insights into your financial future.
Oh, those are fantastic. I really encourage people to play around with those tools. It's a great way to visualize your retirement goals and see if you're on track.
And for those who might be feeling a bit overwhelmed, I'd suggest starting simple, like reviewing your portfolio quarterly. Just take a look, see how things are doing, and adjust as needed.
That's a great habit to develop. Even running retirement projections every few months can help you stay on course. A little check-in can go a long way.
For sure. And let's not forget about tax implications. The IRS website, ssa.gov, is a good resource for understanding your benefits and tax obligations.
Right. And using tax software can make filing a lot easier, especially if you're trying to navigate retirement withdrawals, which can get a bit complicated.
Absolutely. And there are so many financial planning apps out there now that can help you track your spending and investments, like Mint or Personal Capital. Those can really give you a clear picture of your financial health.
Yes, and I always say it's never too late to improve your plan. Even if you're nearing retirement, making these adjustments can still have a significant impact.
Totally agree. And for those who want more insights, there are some fantastic books and podcasts on retirement planning. I always recommend The Boglehead's Guide to Retirement Planning for practical advice.
Great suggestion. And there's also The Retirement Answer Book by Harold Evensky and Your Money Blueprint by Michael Kitces. Those can really deepen your understanding of the strategies available.
And podcasts like The Retirement Show or Choose FI are also great resources. They're filled with discussions on financial independence and retirement strategies.
Exactly. The more information you have, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions. And remember, small steps can lead to big changes over time.
Yes. It's about building those habits and taking control of your financial future, one step at a time.
So those are some practical first steps. Now, let's bring this all together. Well, Emily, as we wrap up, I think it's important to highlight some key takeaways from our discussion on avoiding probate for your assets.
Absolutely, David. One of the biggest points was the importance of having a well-structured estate plan, right? Like, it can really save your loved ones a lot of time and stress.
Exactly. And, using tools like revocable living trusts can be a game changer. They help bypass the probate process entirely, which is huge.
Right, and then there's the whole aspect of beneficiary designations. Keeping those updated ensures that your assets go directly to your chosen individuals without any hiccups.
Yes, and let's not forget about joint ownership options. They can be effective for certain assets, like real estate, to keep things straightforward for heirs.
And, well, I think the last takeaway we discussed was the importance of consulting with an estate planning attorney. It's so crucial to get professional advice tailored to your situation.
Definitely. It can feel overwhelming, but taking these steps really helps build and protect your retirement wealth. You've worked hard for it, so it's important to ensure it goes where you want it to.
Exactly. And speaking of taking action, if you found today's episode helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below with your biggest takeaway or any questions you might have.
And if you know someone who's planning for retirement or is already in it, share this episode with them. It could really make a difference.
Next time, we'll dive into a topic that many are curious about: retirement planning for self-employed individuals. It's going to be really insightful.
Yes, there are unique challenges and opportunities there, so you won't want to miss it.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you found value in our discussion.
Take care, everyone.
Bye for now.